Okay, continuing with the social engineering attacks. The very first one is, guys, not the first one. We already discussed few. So here it is, your shoulder surfing. What do you understand by shoulder surfing? So if I give you an example, for example, like I will take you back, a couple of years back. When we were giving our college exams or school. Yeah. So it's a last hour. You're gonna flunk in that paper. So you start seeing, you know, on the answer sheet of the person who is sitting right in front of you. So we can say that's not cheating. That will be a shoulder surfer. So shoulder surfing. Amit said I did in every paper. Great, great, perfect. So that will be a shoulder surfing, right? Then the next one is, guys, your dumpster diving. What do you understand by dumpster diving? So like if I ask, you all order something from e-commerce website. By e-commerce as in your Amazon, your Flipkart, Snapdeal, like these, right? So you might have you might have ordered something from these e-commerce website, isn't it? So when they deliver those packages, you have noticed that on the wrapper, the cover of that item, it includes your bill, correct? It includes your, like, a bill is glued on those wrappers, isn't it? And that bill will be containing your address, transaction, phone numbers, many PIIs. Yes, Vikram, exactly, right? So what I'm trying to ask you is, we might have done once in our lifetime, I would say. So that is not a good practice, because when you're not tearing those bills into small pieces and throwing in your trash, it can be useful for somebody else. They can gain the PIS from those bills. So similarly, what can happen, like, in your organization also there are policies, correct? In the organization, they say that when your documents are of no use the shredding machine, put those documents over there and shred them into small pieces and then throw it in your trash can. Because if you are not shredding those documents and making a ball out of it and throwing on the trash can, what can be happen? Yesterday, if you like, in the last session, if you remember, we discussed about insider threats. So don't you think it will be very useful for them, because insider threat will be able to access those documents which are in the trash can, and then he can see what a lot of crucial information about the business deals or the organization which are mentioned in those documents. So it is always recommended that whenever you are dumping or you're throwing your trash, make sure it should be into very small pieces, and then you have to make sure they will not reveal any information to the other person, right? That will be your dumpster diving. Then we have your piggybacking. Okay, so let me change the question. Let me rephrase it. Now my question is, I will show the pictures of both of them. Here is a piggybacking. Here is a tailgating. Okay, what is the difference between these two? So the thing is, if we talk about tailgating first, so tailgating is what, if you can see in the picture itself, like there is an authorized person who is swiping his or her card, and someone from behind will be just following them. So thing is, right now, the authorized person over here, he is not aware of this thing that someone is following them, and and they are entering along with them. Is that clear? So this being an authorized person, what he did, he swiped his card, opened the door, and now when he entered in that restricted area, what will happen? This person, he or she will be following this authorized person, okay, and they will also enter into this restricted area. So this person will not be aware of that someone from behind is also entering along with them into that restricted area. So that will be known as your tail gating. Now if I talk about piggybacking, who is opening that door for these people, right? So this one is what, this is, you can say, also an authorized person. Now what is happening is, this authorized person is aware of these people, and now he is opening the gate for them into this restricted area. So in short, these people, what they might have done that, okay, hey, I am having this really urgent meeting right now, can you please open the door for us or for me, because I have to present over here. It is a very good deal, and I forgot my card at home in a hurry. Due to this, I need to rush, and I forgot uh, my ID card at home. And now he is requesting this person, and he got convinced, because we as a human, we have that nature, right, to help. And now he convinced him, and this person, this authorized person, opened that door for these people. So this will be known as your piggybacking. So the main thing is, what is the difference between them is the matter of concern. Okay, the main difference is the matter of concern. Correct. In this piggybacking, this person have, he's giving his own concern, like, he is aware of these things that these people are trying to enter in that restricted area. But in tailgating, this person is not aware about them. Make sense? This will be known as your, or this will be the difference between piggybacking and tailgating, because people generally tend to use these two terminologies for each other. So this is the basic difference between them. Then is a honey trap. What do you understand by honey trap? So in James Bond movie, if you talk about, or the Special Ops 1.5, you might have seen that there are agents which are sent, to induce those uh, detectives or those persons and try to get information out of them, isn't it? So over here, you target a person inside the company, you can say online, and pretending to be an attractive person, okay, and then begin a fake online relationship to obtain confidential information about the target company. Honey trap. Then we have what? Then we have your eavesdropping, guys. That thing can be rated over here. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping, you can say, like, like people are sitting in a park, people are having conversations, and then another person will be there, a typical Indian lady, who will be listening all those conversations and then circulating around the entire world, right? But that lady will be what? She'll be doing your eavesdropping over there, listening the conversation, what is being actually shared between them. Perfect. But later you can say man in the middle attack can be the one for you know eavesdropping, a good example for that. Then we have next, which is a elicitation, or elicitation. Anyone having an idea what does it mean? Elicitation, you can say it is the strategic use, you can say, right? As mentioned by Muhammad Khan only. What you are trying to do. He mentioned a very good definition for this. Like, you'll be having a casual conversation with other person, and with that conversation, you will try to, you can say, get information out from that person. Like, for example, if I'm having conversation with Anurag, I will casually start the conversation with him. Okay, like, I can uh, start the conversation on a very normal note, right? But slowly, I'll be diverting the topics over there, so that I won't give him a feel, like, I will not let him know that, I will not give him the feeling that he is being kind of an interrogated, or he is being asked something about his own personal information. So it will be very smooth and simple conversation, and through that I'll try to get more and more stories and more information out of him, right? So I will put some question. Usually, a lot of questions will be there, so that you can, or you will be giving, or you will end up giving me some valuable or sensitive information. Then we have a very simple one and very known one, which you guys might be already knowing about it, which is a impersonation, guys. What do you understand by impersonation? Correct. Pretending to be original being fake. Like, you can say act of pretending to be someone else, right? So that in order to gain some access or to gather information, right? That will be your impersonation. Then we have USB key drop. Okay, so USB drop, key drop, I can say, like, as you guys have already mentioned the tricks. Like, I'll be having a USB and I'll be installing malicious codes over there. You can say malwares, which will be triggered as soon as you plug it in into a system. So what I will do, let's suppose, I will drop that USB either on a park, or you can say in the organization's parking lot. So what I'm expecting is, I'm expecting someone to pick that USB. We as a human, why That's the sole reason I told you about social engineering attacks. Then we have to play around with the human's intentions. We as a human, what we do, we like that pen drive which I dropped in parking lot. A person may pick it up out of two reasons. One, he wants to help, and he wants to take it back to its uh, owner. First thing. Second thing, yes, Mahesh, exactly. Out of greed, I'm looking at that person who might be greedy, right? Who saw a pen drive, who saw that pen drive is of, it might be new and it is of very good, GB, like, pretty good space. So he might be doing what he'll be taking it to his cabin or her cabin, and out of greed to see what is inside that USB, as soon as they plug in or they copy those, files into the system or whatever, like depends how I have written my malicious codes. So as soon as they do that, malware will get triggered and the entire system will be in my control, correct? And since if we're talking about an organization network, if I got someone's computer access or control, now I can do a lot of damage, no, isn't it? I can look out for more damage. I can go for the lateral movement and see other systems as well. So this is how it can be dangerous. If I talk about a page, a social media page, for example, the number of likes of that page or that account, the number of likes, the number of followers, the number of shares, they gives a validity that this might be a good page. Can we say that? Correct? The number of likes, shares, subscribes, followers, they gives us a hint, or you can say they gives us the idea that this page might be very good. Correct? That will be validating the page, isn't it, guys? Now, what, like, let's suppose if I am an attacker or I am a pen tester, anyone, right? So what I will do, like these likes, shares, and all of these things, they're add to your social proof only. They'll be proofing that okay, this page is genuine. So many people will be following me, you can say. So if I have a specific target, I'll be waiting for him. Like if I don't have that, no worries, right? So what I'm trying to say is we as in people, we crave for social group interaction. We crave for social group interaction, and we have a need to be included. Correct. You might have seen a lot of people, doing discussion on the comment section. Correct. So we have that craving of being in the social group, right? Do that interaction and you know need feel like to be get included over there, right? And moreover, if I am following a good page, like being an attacker, I will gain people's trust over there. Now, since I have gained people trust, what I can do is one fine day, I may post a malicious link in my article, right? Is my job done as an attacker because I can place malwares inside that particular link, right? Make sense? Exactly, hurts. Yes, definitely. Why not? That can be the one. So this is your social proof. Okay, a different terminologies given over there. Then we have scarcity also. Scarcity as in shortage, you can say, correct? Scarcity. So that technique that works, well to get people to act fast. For example, you might have seen a lot of ads coming up over there like sign up now for a special offer, supplies are limited, all those things, isn't it? So scarcity as in shortage. So this is a state where we make people to act fast without thinking much. And as soon as they do that, boom, they fell into the trap. Exactly. Correct? That will be your scarcity, guys. Then we do have your likability. Likability is the simple one, like this is a technique that that works. You can say where we are trying to be very friendly and likable with the other person, right? So I will, being a pen tester or an attacker, for example, I will try to be friends with Harish or Harsh. Sorry. So I will do what I will interact with Harsh. Like first of all, I will get to know like what is what are his likes and dislikes. So for example, if Hirsch likes football, I will start having a conversation with Hirsch on the basis of a football. And we'll match up, our tune will match up, our frequency will match up, right? I will try to, I will say what he wants to listen. Correct. I have gathered information. I may know that he likes this particular club, he likes this particular football player. Then I will also portray that I also like them, and all that part. So I will try to build a relationship with him, right? And eventually I will be a friend, with him, and he will also like me. Now, as I told you, people, they want to help others. Correct. We have that nature of helping as well. So, you know what I did, I find the common ground and shared interest. And now I'll be creating a situation like, when once I know that he trusts me now and he is my friend. So what I will do, I will smartly say, okay, I forgot my laptop. I need to send this email ASAP. So what Harsh will be doing, he might lend me his laptop. He might also tell me his password, correct? And basically, even if he give me the access, my job is done over there, right? I can download the malwares right away, isn't it? So that will be a likability. And just to mention, like, if you talk about pen tester guys, it is not just limited to these social engineering attacks. You can say some physical base will be like parameter base or physical base will also be there. Like for example, fence jumping. You'll be like, ensuring that organizations premises they are properly fenced. Their fences provide a physical security boundary. So are they properly, implemented on the organization or not? So pen tester, they can go over or under a fence to avoid a checkpoint. They can look out for these things as well, right? Lock picking is also there, like, picking a lock over here. So many areas that the pen tester needs access to are locked. So they try, like I would say, learning lock picking is a valuable skill for a pen tester as well, who focuses on physical security. So entire these things are discussed on a planning and scoping, then only then they'll be doing these things. So that's why I'm just telling you about these strategies, right? Badge cloner, you can say, right? I can clone a badge of yours and I can use it to access into the organization, correct? So identification badges, they are required by many organizations, like, they have the same, you can say, sample, or you can say model. So what you can do, you can snap a photo or picture using a digital camera and reproduce the security badge. And you can say, if there are readers, like, scanning, reading those bars, you might not be able to clear them. But if there's just a security guard only, I can fool him, isn't it? So it will work visually, but you can say won't make it past a reader. Correct. But like, what I can do also is I will just try to put that card on the scanner. It will not accept it. So I can say to the guard that, okay, it's not working. Can you give me the access? Then guard will be seeing my card. Okay, he'll be validating. Okay, he's a genuine one, and he will also give me the access. Last one for this one is your quid pro quo. See over here, you can say the pentester or an attacker's perspective. We talk about, they'll be calling numerous random numbers within a company, right? And what they will do, they will claim to be from technical support, for example, right? So what they will do, they will offer their service to the end users for in exchange of confidential data or their login credentials. So for example, here's a person in the picture. He says, hi Amy, this is Joe from IT. I am working from home today, right? And like, he'll try to convince her, manipulate her, like, I am from the IT team, I am from support, and we have got this task to to check or inspect the systems of this department. Let's suppose Amy is of one of those departments. So he will ask Amy to share their credentials and all that part, so that they can remotely take access and troubleshoot their system. So as soon as Amy get convinced, they'll be having the access of their system now. Inform, like, if I have a spatial target of one company, right? And over here, it's not just only for call based. So what I can also do is, on quid pro quo, for example, I being a Joe, I can convince Amy that okay, I am from IT support team, and I'll be sending, or I will be coming to the department, to your department, to troubleshoot your systems or to check your systems. So what I have done over here is, I first get some numbers from the department or those employees, correct? Gather the information. Now I have said to Amy that I am Joe. Let's suppose this is my not my name, obviously. I have said Amy, this is Joe, and Amy doesn't know who is Joe, right? She doesn't know about that because obviously huge company it is, right? So I will say like, okay, this is Joe, and I'll be coming to your organization, and I'll be getting, I will be troubleshooting your system. Now, you can say after 1 hour, I'll be getting into that department and I'll be saying, I am Joe, and I'm here to fix your system. Okay. Now, let's talk about the strategies, or you can say, the techniques of a pen tester, which we were talking about from planning, scoping. After that, what do we have, guys? We have your reconnaissance. So, information gathering information, reconnaissance, or we have different terminologies like footprinting is also part of it. So, what we are doing over here is we are gathering information about our target, right? We'll gather more and more information about target. We'll try to narrow it down so that we can actually, reach to a step where we can, strategize for our target. Like, we'll try to find out the vulnerabilities or any crucial information which we can take an advantage of, correct? Because if I talk about, uh, without information gathering, why it is a crucial step? Because you can say, let's suppose, for example, with just a name, okay, with just a name of our target, for example, with just a name, it's a big world, right? If I say attack infosec train or do pen testing of infosec train, for example, will you be able to do that with just a name? No, right? So we can consider that in this big world, we are at this layer, right? On the outermost layer. Then we do what? We gather some more and more information about our target, correct? So you narrow down a bit by getting a bit more information about the target, like, their place, country, city, etc., etc. And then you get more and more closer, correct? Then you get more crucial information about them. And finally, you can say you get something which you can take an advantage of, or which can be something very, you know, important for to do the target, or we can specialize our target on the basis of them. So yeah, that will be information gathering. You can say like, what do we do, or like, what information can be, like they can be types of phone numbers, contact names, email address, security information, job posting, resumes, operating systems, IPs, right? Employee, their names, correct? Geolocation, domain name, service, etc., etc. Plenty of things are there, right? Plenty of things. So yes, Mahesh, OSINT, correct. Definitely, it will be falling under that category. Many things can be there, right? N number of things can be there in order to gather information about the target. Like as much as we get, as much as we can narrow down, that will be definitely, helping us, right? So as I mentioned, like, phone numbers, contact names, we can do, or we can go through a lot of different sources, tools, places in order to get information about the target. Will be like, it can be passive, it can be active. Active can be like, the one where we are directly interacting with our target. Whereas if we talk about passive, passive the one will be where we'll not interact with our target. Social engineering we can also include in your OC. Definitely we can do that. That's why I said active and passive. Active where we directly interact with our target. Passive where we do not interact with our target. Right? So we got a lot of information. First, organization, they use PHP developers. So technology might be related to PHP only, right? Correct. Apache server is there, cutting out my entire, you can say, hustle on gathering information. So my attacks will be specialized on the basis of your Apache server, correct? Code Igniter technology. and moreover your MySQL server. So I know which kind of a database this organization is also using. So when I'm trying to do SQL injection or attacks on the database, I can do on the basis of your MySQL server. I can specialize those attack on the basis of your MySQL or MySQL servers. Make sense? And not only just job postings, your resumes, right? Your resumes can also be useful. For example, like this. Now, what I'm trying to say is, let's suppose if I being an attacker, like we have lots of job portals, right? Like for example, Naukri, Monster, LinkedIn. You can also say that, right? XYZ. Now think about this way. Like if I am a pen tester, what I can do, I can, you know, how easy is it for me to create an account on these, portals and impersonate as an HR, create an account over there, impersonate as an HR. It is very easy for me, right? I can try to be very legit over there, a genuine person. Now, you know, we people we get jobs by posting our resumes on different job portals. Correct. Like almost everyone over here might have uploaded their resumes once in their lifetime. Am I right? And you might have also got a job out of it. But the question is, how many times do we take our resumes from those or take down our resumes from the job portals? Never. Correct. So if I am an pen tester, if I am an attacker, in attacker's perspective also I'm talking about, I can create my account. You guys will be posting your resumes over there. And since it is your resume, tell me how much of the informations are correct in. So with that, I can get plenty of the useful information for, about that person, right? So this way I can gather more and more information about that person, isn't it? Job portals can be there. We have lots of online tools as well. Do you know that? We have plenty of them. People search engines are there where we can write a person's name and we will end up getting information about them. Matrimonial websites, correct? OSINT framework is there. Yes, Mahesh, definitely it is there. We have Who.is, we have Netcraft, we have a lot of things like website mirroring is also there. Plenty of them are there. Like if I show you, for example, you can see this is a portal. If I write something like domain name infosectrain.com, can you see we're getting information about the companies, they like when they were registered, when is their expiry date, updated on, correct? Referral URLs, they had this account from GoDaddy, name servers, subdomains, all of these information can be get from your these online tools. Many are there. Many are there, right? Correct. For example, OSINT framework is also there, which can be very helpful in order to gather information. OSINT framework like this. So for example, it will be listing out the tools. Entire map is there. Can you see? So for individually for any topic which you want to do search for, you can just click on them. For example, if I talk about email address, if I want to search for emails, you can see a lot of tools are mentioned over here. For example, Mails Fund, if I click on it, it will open that tool for me. I need to log in, I need to write the domain name, and I might get the email address related to them. You want this link? Okay, there you go. I have posted on the chat. Okay, so similarly, guys, we have plenty of them, and number of tools are there. Okay, if you talk about like Maltego is also very amazing. Maltego. That is also an amazing tool in order to get the information. I will write on the chat as well. I will write over here. This one. See, integrate data from public sources OSINT. So it is also an amazing tool. It also gives you that kind of a map, or you can say tree structure. See, and you can get a lot of information through these tools as well. So it is also the amazing one. All right, a lot of them are there. So in short, what we are trying to do, we are trying to gather information about the target, which we can eventually use, you know, to create the further process or try to strategize. Right, that will be your like these are tools. NS lookup is there, right? Name server lookup, trace route is there, ping is there to check the availability and to get the TTL values of the particular, target. Who.is, Netcraft, Google is also there. The way you Google, there's a term known as Google Docs, which tells you how to do Google and get the information. Let me select the different color. This one, okay. Social networking, Malteco, OSINT framework. Plenty of them are there. Then we have what? Scanning. We have scanning. So scanning, you can say, this will be helping us to get what? This will be helping us to get a lot of information about our target. Like, what all the open ports are there, what all the services it is running over there, and all of these kind of information we can get through your scanning. A little, you can say, more detailed information. So for example, if I start my service, give me a second. I'm using Parrot. You can use Kali. Anything is fine. Don't worry. So guys, this is a metasploitable machine, which is our target machine. Okay, this one. So we won't be logging in over this machine. We'll try to go other way around. Okay, and this is our Parrot machine from where we will be doing those attacks. So for scanning part, we have very one good utility which is known as a Nmap tool, network mapping tool. Okay. Uh, no, 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 no. It will take ages now. Okay, perfect. Sudo su tool. Metasploit framework is something different that helps you to do the attacks, but Metasploitable is a machine's name. Okay, just to give an idea about Linux, quick thing which we are going to discuss. Only that we are going to discuss few commands of Linux, the very basic ones, so that you can understand. Guys, we have sudo su, super do user. Okay, super do user, switch user. You can say super do switch user. So sudo su will do what? It will be helping you to become a root user. Like we have, if you talk about in Windows, you know that in Windows you have one user which is a normal user with your name, correct? So guys, can you see we have users like Sayem is one user, a normal user. Then we have administrator also, correct? You might have seen when you're trying to open an application or doing something, it always gives you a pop-up like you need administrator's permission to do that, doesn't it? Ever notice? When you right click any file also or any application, it gives you run as administrator. So what is an administrator? Administrator is the one which is having most of the privileges, okay? Which is having most of the privileges in a Windows case, administrator if you talk about. Similarly, in your Linux is your root, okay? They both have most privileges. Make sense? So with this, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to become a root user because this will be having most of the privileges and we can easily run our commands, because there will be very many commands which you cannot run by being a normal user. So if I take example over here, this first of all, if you see the panda, this panda is a normal user. Okay, then I did sudo su to convert to a root user, which is the one which is having most of the privileges over here. Okay, then we have commands like cd is for your change directory, right? If you want to go from one directory, or it's a directory as in folders, so if you want to go from one folder to another, we use cd for that. Okay, we have dot dot over there, which denotes your previous directory. Okay, like if you want to go to another the previous directory, you can use cd dot dot for that. Okay, so we'll be using this much for now. Just wanted to make you aware of these. A lot of are there, but we can discuss only this much because this is all we will be doing in your uh, while doing the nmap. So for example, just let me show you. If I do ls is there, which tells you about list. Yes, Anurag, they are definitely. But I would recommend you to go with the first install your VMware, which is a virtual machines. Okay, virtual machine software, and inside them you can download these flavors. Guys, we have ls. It is also one common, which is your list. Okay, list all the contents which are over there in that particular directory. And ls hyphen la is also there, which will be giving you the list, plus all the files which might be hidden along with their permissions as well. So you can say list all. For example, right now when I did ls, can you see a lot of files are there, correct? These are files including your directories as well. Directories are this one, the blue ones are your directories. Okay, green ones are your files, and these are jpg format. So what I'm trying to say is, with the list it will be telling you what all these, whatever this directory with the name panda is having, it will be giving you all those files, directories, and images, everything inside it. Now if I do ls hyphen la, you see same files are mentioned, but few files are also mentioned which are having dot in front of them. Can you see? Dot java, dot icons, dot gconf, correct? So these are your hidden files. Any file, any directory which is having dot before them, they are known as your hidden ones. Okay, and the permissions which are given to them are here: read, write, execute, read, execute, read, execute. Okay, these are your permissions, just to tell you. All right, the owners, this file size or directory size, and the date they were created, and the timing as well. All right, cool. So if I do clear, it will be clearing this entire screen for us. If I do ls again, can you see there is a desktop with the name desktop directory is there? So if I want to go inside this directory, what I will do, I will simply write cd space desktop, hit enter. It will take you to inside your desktop. Can you see a desktop has been added? If I write ls, different files are mentioned. See, and if I minimize this, you will also be able to relate them. Apple.txt, this is my desktop, so apple.txt is here, right? chv11 directory, chv11 directory is here. Pass.txt, pass.txt, readme.license, here it is. Scripting 2, here it is. Server.py, uh, here it is. Sock, here it is. User.txt, here it is. zeus.vme, here it is, right? So it means we are where? We are inside our desktop. Make sense? And with the ls, it listed all those files which are present inside my desktop directory. Correct? Perfect. Now one more thing. If I want to go to previous directory, which was my panda, this one is my previous directory. See, panda. All I need to do is cd space dot dot, and you can see it take me back to your panda. And if I do ls hyphen ls only ls, you can see again those files are back, which you saw previously. Make sense? Perfect. Let's keep this aside. Scanning we were talking about, right? Scanning. We have an nmap tool for that. See, I have this metasploitable machine running side by side, right? But I don't know the IP of this machine, correct? I don't know the IP of this machine. What I will do, I will just show you how we can see the IP of our machine is just write if config. If config. So if I do that, it says this is my IP, right? Correct. This is my IP. Exactly, Harsh. So what I will do, I will try to determine what is the metasploitable IP. Since we are on the internal network, I will go with the ARP scan, and I will do something like this slash 24. Why I did dot 0 slash 24 instead of writing this? Why I did 13 instead of 130? Why I did 0 slash 24? Because I want to scan the entire subnet over here. Okay, subnet as in, now my scanning will be going from 192.168.0 168.1.0.2.3.4.5 till your 255. Okay, it will be scanning each and every single IP in that subnet, and it will be trying to determine which IP is up or which IP is live. Okay, make sense? Right? So since my metasploitable is running, it is in the same internal network, it means its IP will might be also listed in this particular range. So I'm trying to determine that. So if I hit enter now, can you see we got four IPs, guys? We got four IPs, right? So let me tell you one thing. This IP, the third one, it belongs to your metasploitable machine. Why I'm saying that? Reason being 1, 2, and 254. Broadcast, default gateway, and your network ID. They represent these three things. So they will be by default present over there. So whatever IP is left, it will be denoting your metasploitable IP. Is that clear? So these will be fixed. 1.1.2 and .254, they will be fixed over there. Whichever is left will be denoting to your. And now I'll perform nmap scan on it. Let me open another terminal for this. I'll do nmap simply and hit that IP. Okay, what it will do, it will be scanning that IP. Let's wait. Just to let you know, when I'm doing this, what it will happen, it will be scanning 1,000 well known ports, not 1 to 1,000. No. Can you see? Because we have the port numbers which are also exceeding the number 1,000. Can you see that? 543 3306 666 666 right? So it means it is not scanning from 1 to 1,000, it is scanning 1,000 well-known ports. Okay, always remember that. And if I show you more in this, 977 closed port, if you count, these will be 23 number. How? I can prove that as well. There is a command, there is a switch with the name hyphen small v. Hyphen small v means it is standing for verbosity. Okay, it is standing for verbosity. It gives you detailed output of that scan. So if I take you and look up over there, you see discovered open ports and all that part. Look over here. It did the initiating the upping scan, initiating the parallel DNS resolution, because these are the steps of your nmap scan. These are the basic steps which nmap follows. So always remember this. This is a key point. Which type of a scan your nmap does by default? It does your stealth scan. Always remember that. And how many ports is it scanning, guys? Right now, if you see and you look closely, we are getting ports, their numbers, their state, which is open, and the services as well. Correct? We are getting the services as well. FTP, SSH, Telnet, all that part. Now, if I want to see the service versions as well, what I can do is I will simply add one more switch, which is hyphen S capital V service version. If I hit enter now, let's wait for a while. Let's do the scan. Awesome. Now, if you notice, one more column has been added, right? With the name version, correct? A version column has been added. So now think about an attacker's perspective if I talk about, or any pen tester's perspective if we talk about. Like since we are talking about pen testing, if we talk about in that perspective, if I did a scan and I got a version over here like this, can I look out for Google, you can say, and I can get information about this particular version, that what all vulnerabilities are associated to it, right? What kind of exploit can be used in order to, exploit this vulnerability or to take an advantage of this vulnerability, or those scripts outside, right? Make sense? So what we can do is, guys, if I do one more, like with this one more switch with the name nmap hyphen sc, it is to run the well-known scripts. It is to run the well-known scripts. And if I target a port number 21, I'm targeting one single port right now, okay, not to create a lot of ports and all that part. I'm targeting one single port and I'm trying to run this well-known script on that particular port of this IP, right? If you want to specify a single port, we specify by writing hyphen p. Okay. So you can see I have specified port number 21 hyphen sc is to run well-known scripts, because in nmap database we have 600 scripts present over there. So out of those 600, I am trying to run the well-known scripts. Okay, with this hyphen sc. Now if I hit enter, guys, can you see it gave us a more hit? It says FTP anonymous FTP login allowed, right? So we can directly try to get inside this particular FTP port with this anonymous as in credentials like username and password, and we can get inside that FTP service as well, right? If we manually run some scripts, we'll also get to know that FTP is having a backdoor access, right? A lot of scripts are there. So if we do that, if we run them, we also get to know that this FTP involves backdoor entry as well. So what I can do, we have a very good framework with the name this Metasploit. So all you need to write is MSF console to open that. It will load its banner, right? So this is a Metasploit framework which can help you to do a lot of good attacks, right? Uh, Now I will simply write that version name and let's see if you get something out of it. Search VSF TPD. Can we see we got a exploit? We got an exploit for this particular version, VSF TPD version 2.3.4, and it is the same version we were looking out for. Correct? Over here, VSF TPD 2.3.4. Right? We got an exploit in our Metasploit framework related to this version of FTP, which is VSF TPD 2.3.4, and it says backdoor command execution. Correct? Right. So what I can do, I can utilize this exploit, guys. I can do what? I can utilize this exploit very well. So I can simply write use. What I can do, either I can copy this anti-exploit from here to here, copy and paste just after this we use like this. I can copy and paste it, or or can you see there is an index number written over here in front of this particular exploit, which is 0. So I can simply write 0 as well and hit enter. Can you see my prompt just got changed? It means now I'm doing what? I'm using this exploit. Make sense? What I'm trying to do now, I'm using that exploit. Is that clear, everyone? Perfect. Now simply what I will do, since I'm using an exploit, I will do show options. I will try to see all the settings. So a payload has been already set. Payload is what? Payload is something which helps you to do an exploit. Okay, it is automatically taken for us. So no worries for that. At times, sometimes payload might not work, so you have to select them manually as well. Okay. Now our host is there, right? Now our host, you can see it is blank, right? Our host means what? The target host. Who is our target host, guys? Metasploitable machine, right? Correct. Great. So what I can do, or what should I do? I will be writing the IP. I need to set the IP. I need to mention who is my R host or who is my target host. Their port is already set, which is 21. Correct. That is fine for us. So what I will do, I will write set R host. Okay. Space and the IP of a metasploitable machine, which we got from your ARP scan, which is over here. This one, right? And enter. If I do show options again, can you see our host has been set now? Correct. Now all I need to do is write exploit or run, whatever you want to do. Interesting. Can you see found shell command shell session 1 has been opened for us? And can you see what is UID and GID? It is 0. Correct. And it is saying root. So always remember that your root user have the user ID 0, and your administrator of your Windows, they have what? Exactly hers, 500. Okay, this is very important. In exam perspective, you can also say, or interview perspective. Okay, so we got to know that we are root user. How I can determine that? I can simply write, guys, who am I? It says what? I am a root user, because who am I is a command which tells you which currently logged in user you are. So it says you are root user. Perfect. Since I'm a root user, I can take a lot of advantage, right? I can get to the lot of interesting files or directories, and I can got a lot of information out of them, right? And how can I determine it is a metasploitable machine? I can do that as well. If I simply write if config, it says which IP it is, 192.168.107 dot 128. And just to clear a doubt, what I can do, I can get inside my metasploitable machine as well. MSF admin, MSF admin. Kindly cross check the IP and tell me, is it same? Right? So it means I am inside my metasploitable machine, right? We have commands like it will be also telling me I'm inside your metasploitable machine, correct? Now, guys, if I do ls, you can see I can see a lot of interesting directories over here, right? And since I'm a root user, I can do whatever I want to do inside this particular machine, correct? So this is the way how you exploit. Someone also asked instead of metasploit, what was the question? Is there any other platform we can use instead of Metasploit framework? We have different you can say alternatives to this, correct? SQL Map, Core Impact is there, Akinetics by Invicti is there, right? A lot of other pentesttools.com, different uh, frameworks you will get for to do this. Okay, yeah. So this is how you do attacks. You can do a lot of attack machines in Windows XP. If you talk about, we can do that in that Windows XP. We can do the screen sharing, get the control over there. So suppose if you are the victim, what do you like? If you're doing something on your system, I can see that, and you are not aware of that. That Sanyam on the other side on his parrot machine can see all the activities which you are doing. I can do the screen sharing, and you will not be notified. So this is how the pen testers go through into the machines and and check for the vulnerabilities and exploit them and then create a report out of them. Correct? Is it clear, guys? Perfect. And getting back to the slide, just to clear, what is the stealth scan? The last thing. Stealth scan is, guys, you know, if you remember, three-way handshake is there, right? A three-way handshake concept is there, isn't it? In three-way handshake, what happens whenever two machines are trying to communicate with each other? They do a three-way handshake first. 3CB3 TCP three-way handshake. Yes. Let's suppose A and B is there. A will send the SYN flag. B will be sending SYN and acknowledgement, and A will be replying back with acknowledgement. So they complete a three-way handshake to start a genuine communication. But this stealth scan, this is what TCP half connect exactly. It is also known as a TCP half connect scan or stealth scan. So what happens over here? You send A will be sending SYN to B. B will be replying back with SYNAC. But instead of sending acknowledgement in return, A will be sending reset flag and abruptly close that connection.